Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Mansfield, and today I'm going to talk about anxiety in upper elementary students. And this is a presentation on how to identify anxiety within students in grades 3rd through 5th and how to help them through it. So, today we will discuss what is anxiety, types of anxiety, what does anxiety look like in students, how does anxiety affect student engagement and achievement, how do we help students mitigate through anxiety, and coping strategies for anxiety. So, our conceptual overview. So, what actually is anxiety? Well, anxiety is a feeling of uneasiness and apprehension about a situation, typically one with an uncertain outcome. So, we don't know what's going to happen. Okay, we're apprehensive. Some people tend to either get fear and anxiety mixed up or try to use them interchangeably, but they're two different things. So, fear and anxiety are related concepts but have one critical difference that sets them apart. Fear is a response to a specific threat, whereas anxiety is vague and relatively unfocused. So, there might be many different things that aid to someone's anxiety, whereas fear is to something very specific. So, the different types of anxiety that students can have: generalized anxiety, which is basically different things together; test anxiety, which is self explanatory; mathematics anxiety, where some students are very anxious during math time and learning different and new math concepts; separation anxiety. This goes off of, or is a type of anxiety where if a child has been separated from their parents or whoever has been taking care of them for a long period of time, then they can have separation anxiety. Social anxiety, I know as teachers we may see this more in our new students who are in a new school, a new town, new city. So they may have some social anxiety getting to know new people, and then anxiety from grief. So when someone has a loved one that may have passed on, they can have anxiety from that as well. So how does this apply to student learning? So how does anxiety affect student engagement and achievement? Well, according to Armorod, the more time and attention students devote to worrying about their performance on a task, the less working memory they have available for actually addressing the task. So we have where some students are very much so worriers. As me, myself, I was a worrier. So I did have some anxiety when I was in elementary school as well. So whenever a student has anxiety or worry about doing well or not doing well on a task, that can affect them cognitively. They might not would have been able to, retain the information that we've given them. And so when it's time to recall that information, it's nowhere to be found because they've had anxiety throughout our lessons. Thus, anxiety is most likely to have a negative impact on cognitive processing when the task at hand is a difficult one. So, having anxiety as a student can definitely have a effect on a student's cognitive processing. So, what does anxiety look like in upper elementary? So, for generalized anxiety, students apprehensive to start on an assignment because of fear of making mistakes or failing. Some of our students are or have this message in their head where they feel like they have to be perfect, they have to get it right, and that causes anxiety because they don't want to fail. Separation anxiety, students crying or in distress when getting dropped off in the morning times. Like I said, with separation anxiety, if a child has been taken away from their mother constantly and now that they're back with their mother and they have to go to school, that's going to cause some separation anxiety because they don't know what may happen while they're at school to their mother. Test anxiety, students going to the restroom during a test as an avoidance tactic. We all have a student where it's time to take a test and they raise their hand and they say, Miss Mansfield, I need to go to the restroom. It's because one, they're having some type of test anxiety, and two, they're probably worried that they're going to fail the test and don't feel prepared. Then mathematics anxiety, you have students are less likely to participate in math for fear of getting the answer incorrect. So you have some students who are fearful of getting an answer incorrect, that they're not going to try at all to answer any type of math questions out loud. So, implications for teacher instruction. So, as a teacher, what should we do? So, the role and need of teachers has broadened to include understanding and even intervening to reduce mental health symptoms, including anxiety. As teachers in the classroom, we must help students learn how to cope and manage their anxieties so they can be successful throughout the year and even throughout life. So, as teachers, we have always said, I know I've always said that sometimes I'm a teacher, of course, all day, every day, but I'm also a nurse, I'm a counselor, I'm a mother, I'm a loving person. So we wear different hats, but it's very important now, especially with this being 2020, that we recognize different anxieties that our students may have so we can teach them strategies on how to cope with these anxieties. So here are some teacher-led strategies to help mitigate student anxiety. And I received these strategies from GoGuardian.com, which I'll talk about later. It's a very good resource. So for students with separation anxiety, maybe building in a call home break will help them, release some of their stress. So maybe doing a call home break before or after lunch just to check in so they know that, their mom or their dad or whoever is there and they don't have to worry. Provide notice of upcoming tests. I do this a lot in my classroom. I like to tell my students at least a week in advance when the test is going to happen. Sometimes it might be longer than a week, which is good for them, but I do it at least a week in advance, letting them know they have a test coming up. Provide notes through email or school portal so students can preview them. I also do this as well. We have Canvas as our online tool for our students to communicate with us, and this is how our virtual students receive work. So when we get done typing notes in class, I always upload them to our Canvas so they can go back and review them on their own time. Equip students with test-taking strategies. Have them practice them. I do this a lot in my class as well, especially with teaching science and social studies, because students have to know how to apply the information that they learn. So we do, and I teach them different application strategies to use during test-taking time. Teach students deep breathing techniques to use when they feel their anxiousness rising. This is great. I have my kids do this before every test to kind of relax themselves and relax their brain and let everything flow to them naturally. Then you can teach and create positive self-talk scripts for students to use during times of anxiety. So you can either talk to students about these and they can write them out themselves, or create like a small little snippet that they can cut out and put on their desk and have next to them. So whenever they're feeling anxious, they can look over and see their different affirmations. Like, I can do this. I know the material. I studied hard. Things like that. That's positive self-talk. Then stop and do mindfulness exercises such as standing, stretching, and deep breathing in between lessons. In my classroom, we call this a small brain break. Sometimes students can hit cognitive overload, and if it's a very in-depth topic that you're talking about, it can be stressful. So giving them some type of, debriefing, a breather in between lessons will help them focus and help them release their anxiety as well. So the resources that I wanted to refer to. So Go Guardian is a distance learning resource center that houses tips and strategies for mental health such as depression, anxiety, and suicide. Great resource to use to go and find these different tips, especially for anxiety. Then we have the National Institute for Mental Health. This is a fabulous source, not just for student mental health, but also for your own. It gives in-depth definitions of different anxiety disorders and different types of resources to use on how to de-stress and how to release anxiety within yourself and also for your students. So I hope you learned a lot about how to help our students release their anxieties. I know during this time in 2020, we are all having some type of anxious thoughts. And so working together to make sure our kids are stress-free and make sure we're stress-free would be just a positive, great thing for us to do and have. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much.